Hashem speaks about designating the tribe of Levi, giving them the 24 Manas Kuma goes into Teruma, Maises, Bikurim, the gifts that Hashem is giving the Kohanim. He tells the Jewish people they need to give it. All those Lemechalel, the obligation. Chazal they tell us that the Levim had to exert themselves. They had to scatter amongst the granot. Granot means the thresholds where they gather the wheat. And at the beg there, Truma, Isis, Afitzem Israel was one of the curses. It was one of the brachos. One of the curses that the Levites, which are Torah learners, scholars, have to scatter around to get the parnasa. But one of the gifts was that when the people of the land, the peasants of the Jewish people in the land, the working of the land, they get a chance to see the Talmid Chachomim. There was a rabbi, there was a big gvir in Europe that all his daughters married Talmid Chachom. Why? Because when he had a rabbi come to his house and ask for money, he brought him to the house, he gave him kavod, honored. He asked him to tell him words of Torah. Many years ago, my father told me that a big rabbi asked my father, bless his memory, did you fix your donors? Did you brought your donors and gave them the tikkun they need? Which is Hashem brings the donor, a guy that works all day long, he's involved in business, and he has a lot of problems. Not so religious, his wife, he cheats, he thinks he has money, he has gaiva, other problems come in, rush in. Because when a person has money, he has gaiva, there's other problems. One time I went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky and I asked him for a bracha for a family member of mine to become rich. And I told him the Goyim Vilna writes down that at Meiser Rada, if you give 20%, there is a promise for Ashirus, for richness. So he wants to give 20%, but he wants the promise, the bracha of Reb Chaim Kanievsky. Not enough for him that the Goyim Vilna said it. Okay. So I went to Reb Chaim Kanievsky and he told him, who says it's good for him to be rich? And he gave me a mashal of the Magi Miduvna. The Magi Miduvna says there was a guy who had a field next to the river. He had to work very hard to draw water from the river and put water into the trees. It was a very hard job, hot, exert himself, physical, hard job. So he prayed to Hashem, Hashem, bring water and let the river overflow. And the water will come to my field without working hard. And sure enough, Hashem listened to his prayer, and water came and overflowed his field. And he had tremendous, beautiful, juicy, crunchy apples. Who knows whatever he was growing there. The sun came out, dried everything. Again, amazing blessing. The problem was when everything dried out, the field was full of bags, thorns, pieces of glass. He says the same thing is when you're wealthy, there's a lot of other things come with it. Gaiva, bad midos, anger. A lot of rich people that when become rich and then they lose their money, they have a nervous breakdown. And it's very hard to fix them. Why? Because in order to fix them, the Rambam says in Igrois that you need to fix the value of the person. If a person becomes to a nervous breakdown, he has a problem with his nerves, and he has a manic, You cannot change him by giving him drugs. Drugs just make him loose and drugs his body. You can only change him. Changing his values. He value money to be honored, to be something good, and that's what he needs. If he doesn't have any collapse, teach him. In Torah, connect to Hashem. That's a true value. And until he doesn't make a change with that, he will always be sick. When a person has wealth and he values his wealth, he has a lot of problems with it, a lot of bad midos, a lot of problems with it. His wife, his kids become lazy, and they just become fat, and they're just waiting to the father to die, or just to milk the wealth of the father made, not interested to work and do anything. It brings tremendous problems. Wealth brings with it tremendous problems. Plus, kashe nisoyon ashirus from the nisoyon of anims. It's hard, the test of richness and poorness. So comes the Torah and the Torah says, I will scatter the Levites among the Jewish people. Because the job of the Levite, that he devotes his life to Torah, that when he goes to the rich guy, they give him the grain, the donation, he's there to fix the guy. Not, first of all, he fixes him by him giving, doing the mitzvah of giving. So it's a good midah of giving, not holding to yourself. A lot of rich people become stingy. The more they have, they want more themselves. There was a famous story that Yeshivah University was Eitz Chaim before, became Yeshiva University, and they wanted to have donors, alumni donors, so they built a school of becoming a doctor and lawyers school and doctor's school. And years later, they realized that none of the alumni supports the yeshiva. So they had a meeting with the rabbis in the yeshiva, and they came to conclusion very simple. A doctor and a lawyer, he will never give money. He loves his money because he feels he made the money. Every hour, okay, we used to get for an hour $50, became very famous. He says he gets $100, $200, $1,000 an hour, but it's by the hour, by the work. So then he feels that he created the money. And if he take away from his hours, basically makes a lot of money, he's being generous. But business school, if we're going to build a business school, when a person's into business, he knows money comes very easy, goes very easy, and he thinks the way Hashem opened the blessing to him, that blessing will continue. A person made a lot of money or he inherited money, it's very hard for him to give money. But if a person has business and always has an income, more and more money, he always getting money as a stream of money will come in. He's no problem to give away because in mañana, I know he's going to make money again. And those guys will support the yeshiva. So they build a business school, and the Yeshiva University became a very rich yeshiva, to the level that when it was a very famous story, Madoff, the fake Madoff. You heard about Madoff scam? So they had a list of all the yeshivot, all the universities in America, how much they lost. They lost, I don't know, $1 billion. You have to have $1 billion to lose $1 billion, right? That's right. So whatever it is, they showed they made a lot of money. So the job of a rabbi or the job of the Levi is not just Tom, he got it. He's there that the Jews will support him, and by the Jews supporting him, they get a share in his learning. It's not only that. As Hashem says, go around and collect. It's a gzeira on the Levites that they have to lechazer bagroinos. They have to go over into the fields of the rich guys in search of the money. I'll finish with this story. I went to Reb Gershon Edelstein, Zichron Lebracha, Zecher Tzadik Shlivocha, and I asked him for a bracha. Roshim upon him one of the Ador previously. And I asked him for a bracha. I want to fundraise money. See, he stood up and he's shocked and he says, Fundraising money, it's a blessing. It's a schuyot, it's merit. So what do you mean? Merit. It's nothing to do with your exertion. You can work very hard. It has to do with schuyos. And I will add to that really the rabbi has to fix people. That's the job of a rabbi. So he has some of the schuyot, the rich people come to him and he fixes them by them coming to him. And some rabbis don't have the schuyot. They have to exert themselves, run around and knock on rich people's doors and eat by them and stay Shabbos by them and go to the community, give a lecture and deal with their children and get into their lives and spend time to fix those rich people in order for them to get money. Where do we see this idea? The Gemara says that there's two ways, two mahalchim and manhigim of leaders of the Jewish people. One we learn from Shmuel the prophet, and one we learn from Elisha the prophet. Shmuel the prophet, the Gemara says, it's a pasuk in the Tanakh, but the Gemara learns that Shmuel didn't get any money, didn't live off the donations of the Jewish people. He went, he had a donkey, and he had his own food, and he had a little bit of a, cushion that he slept on the road. He never slept in nobody's homes. He never took any food of people, and he never traveled nobody's donkeys. When they were looking for a king, he says, I'm not a good leader. I didn't take no donkeys. Hashem made him wealthy from the shiriot left over of the snapirion of the tablets, of the two tablets. But Elisha, we find that he had a shunamit. She gave him a second floor. She built a menorah for him, a candelabra. She gave him a bed. She gave him support, food, whatever it was. So the Gemara says both ways are good. One way is there's two ways. One is the rabbi travels and he fixes the Jewish people without taking any benefit from the Jewish people. And the other one is no, you take care of the Jewish people, but you get benefit from it. You live off of it. The Gemara says two ways are good. When I was a young boy, I definitely thought Shmuel Hanavi is the right way. How could be that Elijah the prophet is the right way now? Why? Because I always saw, and people see that in the way that Hashem. I hear a lot of people have a complaint of a big organization, don't get hurt, Chabad, but it's good, big. Now we'll give a praise to them in the end. That, they're only there for the money. Obviously they're there for money because they need a fundraise. They need to live off of it. So now when they speak to the rich guy, what does the rich guy feel? They're here for the money. A lot of people get burned down from them. He's giving me schnapps and Shabbos morning, giving me a small kiddush, because right away on Sunday I'm going to get a letter or asking for a check. So really, in order to fundraise, they need to give a long time. Sometimes they don't have money to give, but they don't have the merchandise to give. Somehow they have to get a long credit until the person feels that they love him and care for him and so on. Because people give not because of the cause, but because of the relationship. And after that person, they give money. Until you create that ratio, a lot of people get burnt down and feel that the rabbi is just there for an interest of money because he needs to support his kids, his family, vacations, whatever it is. So it loses a lot of the purities. When I was a young boy, I thought it was the best thing to be like Shmuel Hanavi. But years passed by. And I realized, as the Gemara, what it says is true, both of them. Why? Because a very big downside. All the communities where the rabbis is a big foundation. I'm talking about the reform. I'm talking about conservative, Orthodox. Orthodox, we don't have so much of them. But some of them have big money. Remember I went to Boca Raton, but I'm not going to mention stories. But the big communities which have big foundation, big money. The rabbi has a big check. He doesn't have to work. He works just the minimum to satisfy his balabati, or he doesn't need to. He doesn't extend himself to go crazy to help the Jewish people. You become lazy. That's what the Gemara says. Both ways are good. If you become a Levi, talk about the Dam and Levi Torah, but it's either way. They're just there to fix the people. They don't take anything from them. So true, you're going to fix a couple of people. But you're going to extend yourself like Meshigana, all your energy day and night, like people give their life for Parnasa. They give their life for Parnasa. No, he said, Nafshu noitel, the Gemara says. You don't pay a worker. Take away his soul. It was Moisés Nevi. He gave his life, went up the roof, put himself in danger of death and life and death, just for his to have livelihood. For livelihood, people go crazy. They put their life in death. They're almost in death position. So if the rabbi is living off the charity, what will happen? Rabbi will show you what will happen. He's going to go crazy and fix as many rich people they need and go into the problems. And they're dead. Why? Because he has that interest almost of himself. Because he's leaning over him. He needs to support his house. So for Palmas, he go crazy. So who gains? That guy that has a self-interest, the tzibur then gains. True, summer will come sore and sour, and people feel, oh, he's there to interest. They see the interest in him, and they don't feel this, the pureness. But the Maisa, the rabbi will do the job, will help him. He's a rabbi, so the benefit of the people is much more bigger benefit. Rather than you have a Shmuel Novi, okay, Shmuel Novi was miyucha. You should travel from town to town and fix the Jewish people and talk to them without living off of them. But it's much harder. It's like, what's harder? Which test is harder? The rich test or the poor test? The rich. So if I want to choose which one, you should know if Hashem will give you all the money you need, you don't need to be a Levi that you run after the part of the chitim, fruits and vegetables and tvur and grains from the Jewish people. So who says you're going to run and fix as a rabbi, as a Levite? They did in your life. How much are you going to go and run fix people and give them Torah, etc.? How much are you going to exert yourself to do that? So how can be Israel, Afitzet be Israel? It's a big gift for the Jewish people. Because the Levites, they don't have a city, they don't have land. They have 48 cities, but they don't have business, they don't live, they learn Torah, and they don't have, they're not allowed to own fields and land and anywhere, only in their cities, that's all. So how are they going to live? They have to live over the Jewish people. In order to live over the Jewish people, you have to go and run after them. They run after them, they're not just going to give it to you, give it to another Levi. Why to give it to you? So you have to makir kuna, you have to recognize them, know them, be a friend, take care, teach them Torah. The children do the bar mitzvah of the family, whatever they do. It's a bracha. It's a bracha for the Jewish people. But both ways are good. If you want to take the other route, which is much harder route, to be like Shmuel Hanovi, you think Shmuel Hanovi is much more pure and it's better, not necessarily. Everyone has it's a bigger test, and most people fail. This is really what's the story of the Torah. What happened was Korach said, Moshe Rabbeinu, whatever he did, with his own self-interest, he made his brother Kohen Gadol, his nephew. It wasn't right. They saw the interest because they added one swan. Here, I'll prove you he's not really saying pure truth. Because I will show you that because of his interest, he's putting the Torah, and he's twisting the Torah according to his interest. What Hashem said, no. It's a man from Hashem, and you should give your donations to the Levi. And he's going to live off of it. And he's going to run and talk to you and write for his interest of living. But that cycle is a proper cycle. It's a true cycle. It benefits the Jewish people. Very deep, very serious. Hashem teaches us. That's what the Gemara Bocha says. The Ovid Kamar Ovid, the Ovid Kamar Ovid. You do like Shmuel, Ignoshim is good. But if you ask me, and most people, if you take 10 people of their nature, what is better for the Jewish people? The Levite way. The Elijah the prophet way. That's the Jewish people benefit more than him. You have miyuchodim, you have special Moshe Rabbeinu, Shmuel Hanovi, a big schus, that they exert themselves and put themselves online, even though they have no personal interest in it. Now, finish with a story. It was a very big Rosh Yeshiva. He has thousands of students and thousands of Avrechim, very famous. Rabbi Sorotsky. He came to Rav Steinemann, and Rabbi Steinemann says, how much use for yourself and how much Hashem Shamayim? He says, 90% of Hashem Shamayim, 10% for myself. So you give him like a slap. He says, wrong. That should be 90% for yourself and 10% for Hashem Shamayim. The Jewish people gain more. Very serious. Okay. Shabbos. Rabbi Hanania ben Akash Yoig. Rosh HaKadosh Baruch Hu, what is that? Ikar.